Hello, my name is Carmen Garner, and we're going to do season 1 of Edifying. But I first want to say a prayer, and the prayer is, thank you, Lord, for giving me the chance to tell my story and hopefully edify, which means to uplift or inspire anybody that's listening to this live feed. Today is March 8th, and under the tutelage of Pastor Jesse Williams Jr. and Jesse Williams Sr., I just want to say I'm humbly honored to be able to come out here and talk to anyone that's listening and watching. I really appreciate the opportunity to tell my story and also tell a little bit about the story of David versus Goliath, coming out of Samuel 1:17-34. All right. First of all, I'm more impressed with the fact that David fought a lion and a bear. That's where we're going to start from. He fought a lion and a bear. And I don't know if you know this or not, but bears are huge. The bear that David fought was a 550-pound bear, and it was not as big as a grizzly, but it was as big as a bear that could hold a lamb in its mouth. So it was a big bear, and it was a big lion. So David had the faith of a 14-year-old boy who, he was a scrawny little guy, and he had to fight a bear, and he had to fight a lion that was large enough to hold a lamb in their mouth. So a lamb is about the size of a grown poodle dog. So an animal that can hold a poodle dog in their mouth has to be very, very large. So with the faith that David had, he, with a club, hit the lion and the bear in the head and killed both of them because he was protecting his father's flock. Because remember, David was the shepherd's son, and his job was to protect the flock. When the bear came, David didn't run, and when the lion came, David didn't run. But with his faith, he stood there and fought the bear, and he fought the lion. And with that faith, what I'm going to compare that to is, a lot of people in their life they're dealt a situation where they have to believe in God and have to have faith to get through the adversity that they're facing. So with David and Goliath, I compare that to my growing up in Springfield, tough place to live. I lived in 17 different places before I graduated from high school. I lived in crack houses. I lived in foster homes. I lost my mom when I was 13. My dad left when he was 4. When I was 4. My brother got a life term in prison, so it wasn't easy. But with my faith, I was able to get through that battle. That was the first battle, similar to the battle that David fought when he beat the lion and he beat the bear, which is I was more impressed with that than him fighting the 10-foot giant. But when it was time to fight the 10-foot giant, again, he didn't run, even though this was biblically, this was a more challenging fight. But with the strength and the power of God, when he slung that rock and hit the Goliath in the head and knocked him out, he still was able, to defeat Goliath with that faith. So my new faith is, I had brain surgery, I had a stroke, and I lost half of my brain. So right now, I'm only functioning with one side of the brain. Right here is just a plate. And I knew that I was going to get through this, and I was going to battle through. I was going to be able to talk. I was going to be able to walk. I was going to be able to do the things that people do in their normal life. So my challenge is the same as David's challenge when he went up against Goliath. So right now, I'm going up against Goliath. And I'm not losing faith. I'm not losing, hope. I'm not losing any of those things because I know that God has me. Just like David knew that God had him when he went up against the lion and the bear and when he went up against Goliath. And that's what life is about. Life is about having challenges and adversities. Some are stronger and higher than others. But if you have a small challenge, it's okay, to still pray that God can help you. But if you have a, even tougher challenges, even more, you have to pray and you have to ask God to be there by your side and Jesus to be there by your side. You don't have to fear the things that come against you, whether they're small or whether they're large. So my challenge that I had growing up was getting through, not quitting, going to school, eventually going to college, eventually getting a job as a teacher. Those are all the adversity that I went through, but I made it. I became a success down in D.C., and I came back to Springfield after I had my operation and my stroke and the loss of my brain. So my toughest challenge is like going up against Goliath. And some people have, the bear and the lion challenge, which is tough, but knowing that you have God by your side, knowing that you have Jesus by your side, you can get through it with the power and the strength, in your mind or in your physical body. So, edifying, I want you to know that through prayer and through faith, you can get through any challenge that you have in your life. Whether if it's a financial challenge, whether if it's a work, a family, or enemies trying, to disrupt your day, you can get through it with the faith of God and Jesus. I'm living proof. The doctor told me that I'm a miracle. There's no way that I was supposed to have survived my massive stroke. I lost my brain. I lost my left arm. I lost my right arm, my left leg. But I wasn't discouraged because I knew that with God, I could get through it. And 6 years later, I'm on live talking to all of you out there, and I've met a lot of people who had less powerful strokes, and they can't talk, they can't walk, they can't do a lot of things. But, through the faith and through prayer, I was able to make it through and keep going, and also keep edifying, keep letting people know that our God is here and Jesus is here, and accept him into your heart, into your life, and you will become better, and you will get through your adversity, and you will get through the pain and the hurt and the depression and the anxiety. So I'm honored and humbled that Pastor Jesse Williams Jr. asked me to come on here and do the season 1 of edifying, of edification. I'm so happy and I'm so excited. I can't see the writing, but I do see a lot of comments, which is really cool. I thank you guys for your prayers for me. I thank you guys for believing in me. And I thank you. And I think that's going to be end of season number 1. Okay? just